Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I am here today with Natalie.
Hi.
And we have a really fun project for you today. So take a look at this quilt behind us. This is beautiful, and it may look familiar because we did it years ago a little bit differently. So
yeah, I think, wasn't it called Magic Square or Magic Diamond?
No, it's called Seasons, 4 Seasons.
Oh, okay.
And but it does make a magic square, so that's really fun.
It's really cool, and I love this fabric.
I do love the fabric too, so let me show you how to make it. So to make this quilt, you're going to need 1 packet of 10-inch squares, and we have used Faraway Florals by Robert Kaufman. You're also going to need a 10-inch pack of background squares, and then in addition to that, you're going to need a little bit of background that matches that, and that's for your inner border. You're going to need 2/3 of a yard. And your outer border is going to be a 6-inch border. You're going to need 1.5 yards for that. And this is the back. And this fabric is so beautiful and so fun. For the back, you're going to need 5.5 yards. Look how beautiful this is.
The colors are so bold.
They're
and
so
the florals
vibrant.
are so beautiful.
I just think it's gorgeous. So this is quilted in curly twirly flowers. Beautiful quilt design for this, and I think really appropriate. The quilt ends up being 79 by 95, so this quilt gets really big really fast. And but you might have noticed that all the way around the edge of this is a scalloped border.
It's so cute. I think it takes any quilt and just elevates it.
Oh, it does. It totally does. It gives it that ooh-ah factor. And for that, I've used the Scallop and Vines ruler. And you're also going to need a squaring tool. I use the Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer. I'm going to actually show you how to make some bias bindings. So you're going to need a bias ruler, and that's about it. And we're going to be able to make this quilt. So I'm super excited to show you how to make this because I think you're going to be surprised at how easy it is. So it's basically all half square triangles. And so we're going to make these the Easy 8 method. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a background square and we're going to draw a line diagonally both directions. Natalie, you want to do that?
I do.
And then we're going to pick one of our fabrics, and we are going to show you how to do this. And this is a very easy way to make them. A lot of times I'll sew around, and that leaves the bias edges, which everybody doesn't love, but this way there's no bias involved, and so people love this method. So we're going to stack these right sides together, and then we're going to sew on both sides of the line, and I will do that here. We're going to go all the way across and swing it around and come back the other direction. And then we're going to do that to the other line as well. So 1/4 inch. All right. One more time. Now, Natalie, would you like to cut that for us?
Sure. So we're going to cut them both directions vertically and horizontally first because there's no lines, right?
There's no lines there. That's the easiest way to do
that. Oops, they came apart. And then we'll cut on the lines.
The diagonal ones are next.
Oh, I'm going to do this.
There you go. All right, now we're going to square these up. And you can square them using the Clearly Perfect, or you can square them using the a regular squaring tool. Natalie, do you want to show them a regular squaring tool?
Sure. Let me find one.
I'm going to just cut off these edges.
Here we go. I've got this 12-inch ruler.
Yeah, any square will work.
So to square them using a regular ruler, you're going to want to press them open because that way you have that little seam line to match up.
And to square mine, you're going to leave them closed and you're going to go ahead and put your seam line on theirs. We are squaring these to 4.5. And so I'm just gonna keep squaring these. They have these little slits in the side of this that enable you to cut off those little points. You can do it then or later. And yep, I have the
I'll just wait for you. It's okay.
I have the only rotary cutter. All right, fast, fast. There we go. All
And
right.
we can trade places, and you can press yours, and I'll square these. Did
All
you
right,
square
perfect.
that one that still has a?
Well, I have 5 here, so one of these is yours. I don't know. You'll just have
I think
to
there's
see.
one that's not square.
Oh, that one right here.
This one.
Okay.
Yep.
I must
So
have grabbed
will you
yours.
press that open for me?
I sure will.
Thank you. All right, to square with a regular tool, you're going to use the corner that has the numbers that you need and a 45-degree angle.
And no 1/2-inch line.
And yeah, that's ideal because it makes it easier. All right, so I'm lining up this 45-degree on my seam line, and I am within the 4.5, so I'm going to cut this first edge so I have a nice straight side. And then I'm going to flip my little square around and line this bottom corner up with my 4.5, keeping the 45-degree angle line right on top of the seam. And then I just trim that other corner off and we're all square.
Now, if you have a 4.5-inch square ruler, which we do somewhere,
We do somewhere,
but it's always good to, show different ways to do it. But, then you can put it on and just trim all the way around. And
that's
that
true.
works
That does
well.
make things a lot easier.
I'm super excited to show you how I sew these together because it's kind of a hack.
Yeah,
You're going to be surprised, Natalie.
I am.
Yep.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. I haven't been that surprised in a long time. I'm having some static cling here, which would be nice if it was clinging to exactly the right place, but I can't get it to move where I want it to.
There we go.
Almost.
Almost.
See, okay. All right. Once you get it lined up, then it's easy to trim it.
That is funny.
Yeah, it's just got one more or 2 more.
2 more.
Okay.
Because I stole that one from you.
All right. All right. Just about done.
And here's her 4.5 that she's lining it on right here.
Yep. With my
Keep your 45 on the
45-degree
on
angle
the seam.
on your seam line. That keeps your points going straight into the corners.
For years, I couldn't figure out what those lines were for. And then I finally figured it out. Once I started squaring with the Clearly Perfect ruler, then my brain realized how to do it with all rulers. And so that was kind of an interesting. I didn't square
It
for
all
years.
just made sense one day.
It just loves that fabric, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just a little staticky. Got a little, that's okay though. Sometimes you just have some random challenges. Just gotta
All
power
right.
through it.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, let me get that one. And now I'm going to show you. So you're going to do this to your whole layer cake. You're going to do this to every single piece, 42 of these. And I kept mine together in piles and like this so that I could randomly choose where they went. And I actually pinned them together. And I'll show you why. And you'll have, I have 5, you'll have 42 piles. And so what I did was all these blocks are sewn identically. And you just have to do it the same time over and over again. So what I do when that happens is I lay the block the way it makes most sense in my brain, which this one is the color down, and then I just stack them. So I'll stack them on top of each other like this, and I stack them the right way they're going to go, and I try to make every block different. And so there's 4 on the top of that one. And then I'm going to start here. And these middles, this is where the middle block comes together. And I'm going to make those all different. And so I'm going to put this one here and this one here. And my stacks do get messed up pretty fast. But I just keep going on it. So this one's going to go here. And I try to make them all different. And I literally stack up, I mean, just a whole bunch. Probably not the whole layer cake, but a lot of them. Let's see, I'm going to put this one over here.
Nope, flip it around.
Oh, see? If I had gotten that wrong, I would have sewn them all wrong after that. So what you're looking for is this line here and one that comes out. So I'm going to go ahead and...
you could also make 2 separate piles where like half your block has the colors together to make the diamond and half has the white.
Yep.
Like half your stacks.
That's true.
So you could do,
All kinds of little hacks for this.
yeah, whatever makes sense.
And then when you get enough and you want to start sewing them, what I do is I come and I just take these two.
I'm just gonna move this because these two are in the same block. There.
Okay, so I'm just going to take these two right here and sew them together. Put them right on top of each other and sew them together. And then I'm going to take these two, and I know that this is going to be a block, so I have my whole block together. So every 2 sets like this, when I get a whole chain of them going, every 2 sets, I'm going to clip apart. I hope this is making sense to you because this is such, for me,
It's a chain piecing hack.
It's a chain piecing hack, and it was just so much easier. So I'll do a few of these, and then you can see how I take them apart and sew them together. All right, so we're doing this. And then we'll come back up here and take these two. And while you're doing it, if you have two that you're like, no, I don't want to put those together, you can go ahead and switch those out at any time. These two. All right, so now I have like 3 blocks sewn together. Well, let's do 4. Because 4 makes a
Might
whole
as well,
block.
you laid them all out.
That's right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put these. And then we're going to do these.
And move these out of the way.
All right, so then I'm going to go through, and every 2, I'm going to count 2 and cut them, and 2 and cut, and 2 and cut, like this. And then these 2. And I know these are going to be 1 block. So again, I'm going to open them up, and I'm going to look to make sure that it matches my block.
Whoops, which is right here.
That was right there.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were going to refer to that again.
And then I'm going to sew this down. And Natalie, as these come off, you can actually snip them, or I'll snip them, and you can iron them.
Cool.
So hang on just a minute. Let me get this one through. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew these into blocks. And I'm nesting that middle seam, so make sure one seam goes one direction and one seam goes the other. All right, so we're on to this right here. And sewing this one down. And then this one. And I just sew along 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and I am nesting my middle seam. It's basically like making a 1/2 square triangle 4 patch. And then what we're going to do is we want to remember that this block right here that points away from this strip is always going to be the center. So we're going to put 4 of these to the center like this. So we're going to go 1, 2, and because we've made sure that all of our middles are different, and we're going to put these together like this. This makes our block. This is the whole quilt right here. And so we're going to sew these together like a big 4 patch, and then we'll show you how that works in the quilt. And Natalie, I do want to sew together that other one that's there that's half.
Okay.
So make sure I have 2 pieces for that.
You will need 1 more block.
I think there's one over there somewhere.
All right, I'll check it out.
Maybe. If not, I'll just quickly sew one together while you are ironing.
Sounds like a plan.
Do I not have one more?
Nope.
All right, well, best laid plans. And the reason I want to do this is because I want to show you what happens when the two blocks come together. This is probably my favorite part of quilting is, let's see, there we go. Wait, let me make this make sense to my brain. I don't know why, but this way it works for me. So we're going to sew these two. While Natalie's ironing, we're going to sew one more block. It is good to have an ironing friend.
Everything is more fun when you do it with a friend.
That's right. All right, so I did my two. Open them up. They're going the right direction. I'm going to lay them right on top of each other, so 1/4 inch. Nest those seams. And then I'm going to sew this one to this one with my middles matching, but I don't want
You
this
want to
pink to be on the
crisscross
same
those.
side, so
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure these go together like this. We'll sew that one over there. It doesn't matter too much, but this is the happiest, cheerful fabric. I just love this.
It's beautiful.
And I think that I would like all the pieces to get their fair turn at being seen. They're just, I mean, it really is breathtaking for me. All right, so when you sew these big ones together, every square gives you a place to line up your seams so that you make sure that they all nest and fit. Like that. And then Natalie, you can iron this.
One more press.
And let's go look at how this fits into the quilt. So you see our blocks that are together right here. This is how this goes right in here like this. And what happens next is as you put these two blocks together, this secondary square is going to appear with whites in the center. So we have one block with the color and one block with the white, and they stagger automatically. So I'll show you that, how these come together right here.
There you go.
And, all right, see here what's happening. So it's this secondary block that happens out here. That just blows my mind, and I just love it. So what we did with these was we put 1, 2, 3, 4 of these across, and then we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So 20 blocks total. And then we put a little 2.5 inch inner border all the way around it and a big 6 inch border out here. And when you're going to do a scalloped border, make sure that you take it to the quilter before you cut it. So leave it nice big 6 inch border and send it off to the quilter. And then I'll show you how to make the scallop border. So I am super excited to show you how to make a scalloped border. It's way easier than you think. And obviously you could just put a regular border on here and it's fine. But I think that ooh-ah factor is so cool. It's just really great.
It is.
So there's lots of different rulers out there for to make a scalloped border, and you can use any of them. You can even use a bowl, you know, but I like this one because of the book that comes with it. First of all, it can do several things, scalloped vines and waves. You can see the different edges on here. They use it for applique as well, but it has the measurements in it. So like if you have a quilt, you know, the math is done for you. So if you have a quilt that is, you know, like so many size, whatever size, it will tell you the number of scallops and the size. And so I really like that. So on our border, we did 8 inch scallops. And if you'll take your ruler, so I got this little.
So you made a fake border.
I made a fake border.
I love that.
Because why not? I want to show you guys, right?
So imagine the rest of the quilt is over here.
Imagine it, imagine it. So that's a really good point, because when you take your quilt to be quilted, make sure that you have not cut the scallops. If you cut the scallops first, she will never quilt for you again. But
And it won't look as pretty either because
No,
it
it's
gets,
so hard
quilts
to-
get kind of stretched a
They
little
get a
bit
little
when they're
wonky.
being quilted.
so you just put your 6-inch border on there, have it quilted. When you get it back, you're going to lay your whole quilt out on the table and you're going to start cutting these. And I'm just going to show you, because you have the, you know, you'll have the whole book, you know, you'll know how to do this, but this has right here a line, and it says line up with the outside edge of the quilt. It tells you just what to do. If you were going to do a vine, you know, or a curve, you would line it up down here and do
With
it
the edge
this
of
way.
the border.
Right.
I would also suggest, just really quick, because we didn't mention it, but you do want to trim and square your quilt before you start drawing your scallops.
Oh, yes,
You're not
that's
going to want to
100%
just like
true.
do it like one cut. You're going to want to square your quilt first.
Right.
And then start measuring out.
And you
because-
always kind of start from the middle of your border and work your way out, because
Right.
this middle one right here is where, if you have any play at all, that's where you want that to be. You don't want it to end up on a corner. So in here in the back, it shows the little corner circles, you know, and if you do an 8-inch wide border, this is going to be your corner. And you'll literally just cut these out and you'll lay this on here on your corner like this. And because it's a corner.
It would be nice if that was also a template, don't you think?
Oh, that would be a good template.
Yeah.
But because it's a corner, you know, you'll lay it right here, and your corner seam will come this way. The corner of your quilt will come this way, and then you'll just cut this around the side, and obviously you'll have another border down here and a whole quilt. So I'm just going to show you how to do this, because a lot of people cutting a border, people feel really scared about that. And so basically what we do is we're going to line this up with the bottom here. And you're going to trace this. Now you can use a pencil, you can use a pen, a marker. I really like these little chalk
Are
ones.
you doing this scallop?
I'm doing it on
The vine or
I'm
wave?
sorry, you're right. I'm doing it this way, the scallop. Whew, I'm glad she's here.
Okay, but you want to come in far enough that you're not losing your corner too.
Right, yeah. So you'll do your corner first.
Okay.
And so once your corner is done, so I'll leave this little space for the corner because it's going to be trimmed like this. And then you're going to put your scallop out here, and I'm starting from 8. Now, a lot of times if I know I'm going to do 8, I'll put a tiny piece of painter's tape or something like that on there so I don't forget. And so right now I'm just going to start with the 8. And this is a little chalk pencil. And I'm just going to come around here like this. And you can see it makes a little line right there. And then I'm going to line my 8 up again, right where it starts. So keep this on the top and move this to the 8 so they match up. And then we're just going to go ahead, hold that side down for me, would you?
Uh-huh.
And we're just going to trim this right along here like this.
To the 8 though, right?
To the 8, but because I'm lining it up with the 8 over here, I can fudge that other end over there. So I'm going to line it here. So, because see how it comes and it matches up with the 8 right here? Then I don't have to worry about what's happening over there too much. Can you hold that for me?
Yeah. I'd stop at the 8.
Okay, you can stop at the 8. And then one more. And if this were the end of your quilt, you would do your corner, and then you would make it work. And because it has, I'm out of room because my piece is just a piece. It's just to show you the method. It's not to show you the whole thing. So, because you can actually, the whole thing is so much easier than,
Oh, sorry.
there you go.
I keep forgetting to hold it for you.
All right. So then what we're going to do here, so like here I got off the line a little bit. You can just rub that out. It won't show. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're just going to cut this. And I'm going to start here and we're going to cut this just along your line, right on the line. And you want to make sure that you can see the line like this. And let me see, I have left room for my corner. Oh, here we go. And we're just like this. All right. So now you have these little scallops. And anytime you have a curve, you have to have bias binding. And bias binding just means it's cut on the bias on the 45, so it has stretch to it. And so I have made some right here, but I want to show you how to make it. Because bias binding, actually it's not the scalloping part that people are most worried about. They can figure that out, but that binding. So let me just tell you, I have a 1/2 yard of fabric right here. out of 1/2 a yard of fabric, you can get 280 inches of bias binding. And so what we're going to do is we cut a straight 1/2 a yard, just like this. This is 1/2 a yard. And
with the fabric.
With the fabric all the way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open this up like this. And so you're going to have this long, nice long piece right here.
Do you want it pressed?
Yeah, you might want to press it. We'll let Natalie smooth that out for us so it lays real nice. And then we'll move that ironing pad so we can stretch it the whole length of it. So what we're going to use for that is a bias binding ruler. And this is made for the 1/2 yard. And it's actually made with a tape in the middle, because if you have a long ruler like this, the chances of it getting broken are high. So
Well, it makes it easier for travel too.
yeah, this is Susan Brown's ruler. It's TQM product, and it has holes in it so you can hang it, and it just works. And because it's got these 45s on the end, it's already set up perfectly. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this, and you're going to lay this on here so that it 45s on that side and on this side. And you can start over here as far as you can go, like this. Let's see, let's just get it over here as far as we can. And I think because this binding is colored a little bit, it will, oh, you know what? Let me check and make sure. Let me make sure this is exactly a 1/2.
Straight.
It's got to be exactly a 1/2.
Yeah, you want your lines, your cutting lines, sides, edges, to be perfectly straight.
You do, 100%.
And I can show how to do it with a regular ruler if you don't have one of these bias rulers.
Oh, okay,
if you'd
perfect.
like.
So I'm going to start by squaring this to an exact 1/2,
Here's a nice,
which I thought I had done.
here's a long.
I like this.
I'll be using
I like
this in
this
a
little one.
minute. I'll show you.
Yeah, I'm all about the ease. Natalie's about the
I
knowledge.
like the ease also, but not everybody has this ruler at home, so
That's true.
we can show just one additional.
But they could.
They totally could. Yes, they are available.
All right, so now this should line up exactly. So we're lining our line here with the, on the edge,
And you're
and
right.
it lines
that is
on that edge.
very convenient.
Yes. And so then, Natalie, if you'll hold on to that edge right there, then what you're going to do is you're going to,
You're left-handed.
I am
Okay.
left-handed, so
I'll
just hold it up
out
there.
on this side.
And then what we're going to do, I'm actually going to switch to my right hand and cut the other side, but you'll just want to go along and keep cutting. So I'm just going to switch this one over here and cut, mostly because I can, and Natalie's holding that ruler so it won't slide. And so this piece, actually we're going to keep cutting, 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 and it gets smaller and smaller, but I'm going to come across here, and because the ruler is already 2.5, it just makes this binding so easy. So we're going to line it up here along the edge, and we're just going to cut all the long strips you can get out of it first. That's what I do first, is I cut as many full-length long strips as I can get. Okay. And then you're going to keep cutting the whole 1/2 yard, even down to the little pieces. And so then what you're going to do with these is you're going to sew them together, and they're all ready with the 45 ready to go, like
They're
this.
just cut perfectly.
And you're just going to lay that on here. 1/4 inch is going to stick out of either side.
Yep.
And we're going to go ahead and sew these together. And we're going to make our long bias binding. And so, and one more, my other piece here. And again, as you cut the little pieces, you'll have little seams, but because it's on the bias, it will not, it just won't, you won't have the bulk in it that you have with a regular
Yeah,
bias.
It disperses those seams so they're not right on top of each other.
All right.
So do you want me to show the other ruler real quick?
Sure, sure. Let's do that.
All right. So if you have a nice long ruler, you can still use your 1/2 yard. I think it's a great size because you're going to still get the same amount of stuff, but you look for your 45-degree angle line and you just line that up with the bottom line. And then you can cut the same direction.
all
It
it
comes
is,
out
yeah.
exactly the same way. So if I was going to do that over here and I had already cut my first cut, what I'm going to do is line it up.
So it's 2.5.
Right. So then you're going to go over to your 2.5 mark and line that up all the way across.
And then this 45
And your
line
40
just runs along the bottom of your fabric.
That's
and that's
right.
why it's important to cut that that half yard just right.
Yep.
And so then you'll just cut your strips. So you can do it with either ruler. It's really easy to do. All right, so bring up the iron again.
Oh, okay.
What we're going to do now is we're going to iron this in half, just like we would our normal binding. But I want to show you that I want to show you the give. So this has give to it. And that's what's going to help us go around those corners.
Okay.
I actually have a piece here already cut. And so I'm going to start by sewing this on.
To this edge. Are you going to add, like, combine these two
We
pieces?
can combine those two. I just mostly wanted to show them how it's going to look like regular binding once you iron it in half.
Oh, okay.
Now, when I start my binding, because I know I'm going to have to finish it with this, I start in the middle of a curve. And so I'm just going to put this on here. And because this has give, it's just going to give. And when you get to this part right here, what you're going to do is you're going to pull this as straight as you can get it and sew straight across. And when you let it go, it's going to make its own pleat. And so let me just start sewing this on along this little curve so you can see how it's going to look. And I, believe it or not, go kind of slow on this because I want it to be right on that edge.
Do you ever pin on
I don't.
this?
I don't pin. So I'm sewing down here and I come right to where the curve directly is across from the curve, and then I'm going to turn my foot, lift my foot and turn it, and then I'm just going to pull this straight across here like this. So I just kind of pull my binding straight across, and we go back up the other side like this. And I come down here, and again we're at that curve, and I come so it's like straight across, and then I'm going to pull this straight and sew straight across. Put my foot back down.
So even though you're like holding on to it, you're not pulling or stretching anything, right?
No. No.
Cool.
All right, so then we kind of stopped here. So then you have this binding on here that's like this, and what I do is I take these scissors right here and I just clip in right here wherever there's this little indent. I'm going to clip. I'm not going to clip my stitch. I'm just going to clip the bulk so that it will lay down nice and flat. And then we're going to take this right here and we're just going to pull this around to the back, and look how nicely that curves. And we're just going to sew this again straight across, and you can sew this down by hand or by the machine.
Very cool.
And it just lays so nice. Look how pretty that looks on the front when we pull that around.
That's
Now
beautiful.
these two pieces right here, when you get, oh, here's the little piece you did. When you get all the way around, you're going to have two pieces that come together like this. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to match these up like this. And it's just going to go straight across just like you did all the rest of it. Let me do it and show you.
Now, so typically it's not going to match up exactly perfect. You'll have to trim it so that it's exactly the right length.
The right length,
And you do
yeah.
that the same way as you do normal binding,
Yes.
where you overlap them by the width, and then
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then this will have been sewn on here, and it will just finish up your whole little edge, and you'll have this nice little bias right there.
Looks so pretty.
And I like to hand sew them down, but you could sew them down by machine for sure. Just stitch in this little ditch right here, or you could do like a wide zigzag that covers the whole thing.
Or a decorative stitch or an embroidery stitch.
Yes.
Speaking of, I have a little surprise. Remember when you were looking for that extra block earlier?
So there is an extra block when you make this. There's one block that's extra. I was looking for it. Did you have it?
I made it into a cute little pillow because I just thought it was so fun.
Oh my gosh.
And I added some embroidery, just a little basic running stitch.
So Natalie's been doing
Isn't
a lot
that
of embroidery
cute?
lately, if you haven't noticed.
I just think
But
it's
it's
so
so cute. So you actually just straight line quilted this on
Yep.
your sewing machine?
Yep.
Add
And
a little batting and a backing.
yep. And I wanted to tell on myself. I didn't have like free fuse, and I don't like basting with pins, so I actually ironed on with a heat and bond.
Oh.
I ironed it right onto the batting.
That's awesome.
And then just ran it through straight stitch. I started in the middle and went out.
All right.
And
so
then I added just a simple envelope back where
Sure.
you just overlap the edges. And
I love that.
isn't that fun?
So was it harder to stitch through with the heat and bond?
Oh no.
No. Okay.
Super soft and easy. It was a so light adhesive, just our MSQC one.
So one of the things I love about this embroidery is
Yeah.
that number one, all the stitches aren't the same.
Nope.
Number two, they're not lined up perfectly like in little rows because they're stitches. It's just random. And what do you call this?
organic running stitch.
Running stitch.
Yeah, and there's I
Two
made a
on each
little
side.
stitch support video, so you can go check that out if you need
Oh
some
my gosh.
helpful
perfect.
hints. But it's super fun and cute. I thought it would look great on your couch or your porch or
100%, or even a bag.
yes, you
It'd be
could
a
make
really
this
cute
block
bag.
into a bag
This
or
block.
wall
Could
hanging.
be a bag, yeah. Anyway, so there's lots of extra tips with working on this. We showed you how to make the scallop binding, how to make the binding and
Bias
the
binding.
bias binding and the scalloped edge. And now look at this.
Just a cute little
So
extra.
cute. Anyway, we truly hope you enjoyed this video on the Summer Seasons Quilt from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Hey everybody! Every week I give you a new idea, and we are almost 1 million quilters strong. So join us every Friday for a new tutorial, and if you haven't clicked or subscribed, make sure you do that today. See you on Friday.